Hey, what's going on everybody? My name is Alonso Rodriguez. I'm a professional slackliner, and welcome to part 2 of the How to Slackline series, where I'm going to teach you how to set up the primitive rig. So very quickly, if you missed part 1 of this series, I'm going to link that down below, and I'm going to have to ask you to go watch it because in that video, I recommended a primitive kit that I think every beginner could do very well with. Get out of here, shoo. Come back after you watch the video, link below. I recommended a primitive system from a specific slackline company that I think is great. My system differs a little bit, and I'm gonna teach what my system is like. It's still pretty bare bones. It just has one extra little thing. And with that said, let's go through a checklist of everything that we're gonna be using today to rig this primitive kit right here. So the very first thing, and the most obvious thing of them all, is a slackline. And I've got BC Blue right here. It's polyester webbing. The second thing we need are anchors. If you looked at that primitive kit that was recommended by me, they've actually got these really nice slings. I'm going to be using rope. I like it better, but I will keep it simple. I'm going to turn them into essentially what those slings are and use them as such. So ignore the fact that these are ropes. Okay, the third thing, and this one is technically not required by any means, but you should really be using it, and that is Tree Pro. This stuff protects the trees. It's very simple. It's nice and soft. You wrap it around your trees where your anchor is going to go, and it protects the bark. And the final thing we're going to need for this rig is some hardware. And for this rig, we need 1 shackle, 2 carabiners, and 1 ring. These oval carabiners are the ideal carabiners for a primitive slackline setup. You could use any shape carabiner you would like, but the oval ones are really nice because they're very symmetric on both sides, and the webbing fits almost perfectly in this little oval shape here. With that being said, let's get to it. Let's rig one of our anchors. But before I go ahead and do that, if you guys are enjoying these videos, if they're helping you out, could you do me a big favor? Hit the buttons below. Hit the subscribe button, the like button, and the notification bell down below. That way you don't miss out on when I post. It helps me out a lot, and I really appreciate you for it. So thank you so much. Okay, so let's rig the first anchor. So I'm going to pre-make this anchor really quickly. I don't want to get too complex into rope anchors yet. That'll be more an intermediate thing. So I've made a loop, and this pretty much emulates the sling you've got. So you're gonna take that sling you've got, you're gonna wrap it around the tree, and here we go. So this is just to hold it in place for now. We wrapped our rope around the tree. We put the shackle through that V right there, and then we put our webbing loop through the pin. And that is all you need to do for this side. So let's move on now. We've now got our static side in our anchor here, and we've got the rest of our webbing on the ground right here. What most people would do, they would grab the other end of their webbing and just walk it over. Over time, your webbing dragging along the floor, no matter how smooth the floor may be, it's gonna cause wear and tear on it. I'm actually going to walk it, so you'll notice, if I just put it around my shoulder here, you'll notice it's just gonna drape off very nicely. Just a little extra step, maximize the life of your webbing. We wanna rig this line flat, and that's, I think, pretty obvious. I'm literally just gonna pull my webbing up here on the second anchor, pull it nice and tight, and just make sure it's flat. So the anchor's built. We're going to take one of those carabiners and clip it to our anchor. So we'll just simply clip it to both of these strands. I'm gonna set this down nice and gently so it doesn't fall. Fell a little bit. Now we move on to the line locker step. Now this step is important because there are 2 things you can do wrong here. Very quickly, I'm just gonna show you how to do the line locker first, and then we're gonna go over the 2 mistakes that most people make. In order to do the line locker, you need to pick up your webbing. So then I'm gonna fold it down right here. And then we create this loop right here. Now this loop goes through the ring, just like this. So the ring is now through that loop. And then you're gonna push that ring back a little bit so that the loop is pretty big. You want enough room to work. So we've got our loop, we've got the ring. This loop is gonna go underneath and then back through that ring. It's a bit of a tight fit here, but just like that. Take that carabiner, and I'm going to put it through, doing it this way so you can see it. Put it through that loop, you want to flip the carabiner so that it opens away from the loop. And then you want to pull this nice and tight so that it's all cinched down and it looks like that. Now let me show you where I went wrong with this step, because this is important. Do you see how close that is? Well, it's only like 2 inches away. Now let me explain why that's a problem. When we have a line locker set up like this, all the tensioning happens between these two carabiners, the one in my right and the one in my left hand. So if there's no space between the carabiners for them to actually be able to tension and do whatever you need to do, then you're not going to be able to tension this line. The carabiners are going to touch and you're going to be out of space to pull. So the mistake here was putting this line locker too close to this anchor. I need to get this line locker off and put it a little further this way on the webbing. You don't want to go too far, because that's mistake number 2. Going too far will actually lead to you not having enough webbing to actually complete this pulley system over here. So you want to do just enough. As a rule of thumb, for primitive rigs like this, I always say about 10% of whatever the line length is. That's how far away you want this in the beginning. I'm going to redo that really quickly. We're at the final step now. We just need to put it all together. I've got my carabiner anchor here and my line locker right here, and you'll see now there's a good amount of space. There's about 2 feet, which I think should be enough. It's still on the low side, but that's okay. So for this step, we take the line locker and we take the webbing that comes out underneath the tail. Tail comes out underneath the line locker. So we're going to take this tail here and we're going to put it on this anchor. Now we want to go from the bottom up, so you want to fold this up and then we're going to clip that through here. So I'm coming out of the top of this carabiner just like this, coming out from the top. Now what we're going to do, we're going to take this thing here again and we're going to go back to this line locker right here in this hand, and on this one we're going to go top to bottom, so opposite of what we just did. Now this is the final step right here, and on here we're gonna go bottom to top again, just like how we did last time. But here's the important step. This last piece of webbing you've got here, you're gonna pull a little slack into it so you can tuck this one underneath. If you look here, I just tucked the one that I just pulled underneath the old one. I'm going to fix my anchor. Between the line locker and this carabiner, we've got 3 strands, so it goes this way, up and through this carabiner, then back this way, down and through this carabiner, then back this way, up and through this carabiner again, except this one you tuck underneath the last one. And that's it. You're done. So this line's got a little bit of tension. Here's how you pull tension. You grab this strand you just tucked underneath and you just pull it away from the tree. And everything you're pulling is being held in tension by the strand above it. You can get a little more leverage if you put your foot against the tree. That's it. So we've now got a full line ready to be walked. The line is now rigged, but there's one more important thing that you should do. This tail, it can slip out. You can tie it off using a Munter Mule overhand, and I will show you what that is. We're gonna take our webbing, which should be coming out of the top of this carabiner if you followed how I did this, and then we're gonna go up and over like this. So you should have a loop that looks like this, and you'll notice the inside stays on the inside. And we're gonna pass underneath now and take this piece of webbing, we're gonna fold it and pass it through this loop right here. And then we're gonna pull it tight. So we're gonna pull a big enough loop here. You'll notice I'm getting a big loop, and we're gonna pull it nice and tight. And it should look almost like a bow tie right here. You see it's like really smooth. Nothing looks crazy twisted or anything. And then we're gonna take this loop, pass it around one more time, and with that loop we made, we're just gonna continue to pass the webbing through. Just a bunch of hitches at this point, so it just kind of gives it more friction here. So nice and tight, and then again nice and tight, and then we can just keep doing that. until we run out of webbing, and that's good enough. Now, if you've got an extra carabiner, you take that extra carabiner and you just clip it off to something. This is super safe, and now it is much less likely to slip out of here. Enjoy it, have fun, do the thing. We rigged our primitive rig, and now we've played, and now it's time to take it down. So here's how you do that. First thing, you want to do that backup we talked about. So take any backups you had off. I'm gonna clip this to my pocket just so I don't lose it. To undo all the backups. We want to step out behind here, and I'm literally just gonna pull back till this guy pops off, just like that. A little more, and it's now popped out of there and is losing tension. And now the line is de-rigged. You clean up your stuff and you go home. As always, guys, thank you so much for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, or if it helped you out at all, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell down below so you don't miss when I post. We're gonna do an entire series of this. This was only part 2 of many parts. So enjoy walking.